Today we are discussing a movie series that haunts me. I am talking about the Disney Descendants movies. I had never seen them prior to making this video because they came out long after I stopped watching Disney Channel, but my little sister was a huge fan of them. Thanks to her, I've learned some things about the movies over the years, like the fact that they're about the children of Disney characters, which doesn't sound too weird until you realize that all of the Disney characters have children, and they're all the same age. When I first heard the concept, I was so confused. What do you mean Ursula has a kid? Ursula's dead. What do you mean she's the same age as Mulan's daughter? That shouldn't even be possible. Every so often, I would remember these movies and just think, what? So recently I decided to watch these movies and make a video on them because I figured there has to be so much weird stuff in them, and boy was I right. There is so much weird stuff going on in Descendants that if you think about it for even a little too long, your brain will hurt. I'm not going to say much more than that right now because I'm going to be doing a lot of rambling and asking a lot of questions in this video, so let's get into it. Oh, also I know you probably can't see it too well because of the camera angle, so let me show you my shirt. Ta-da! It's the Disney villains! They're just so cool and dramatic, and you know, I'm not going to stand for them being misrepresented in these movies. I'm here as their advocate. Okay, now let me take you on an insane journey through the Descendants movies. So the first movie starts with some backstory. Basically, Belle and the Beast got married, and then the Beast got elected as the King of the United States of Oregon. Am I the only one that thinks it's a little weird they chose Belle and Beast as the ones to rule the country? Like, don't get me wrong, I love Beauty and the Beast, but it just feels like such a random pick. Especially when throughout these movies you have the fairy godmother always being involved in their royal duties. She's from Cinderella, but I don't know, maybe they thought picking her and Prince Charming would be too boring or something. So anyway, the Beast decided that in order to maintain peace, he would banish all of the villains to this place called the Isle of the Lost, and they put a magic barrier around it so they can't get out because there's no hope for them. They'll never be better. Okay, now it feels even weirder that they picked Belle and the Beast because these two seem like the least likely to do this. I mean, the Beast was, you know, he was the Beast. He was big, bad, and scary, and Belle taught him how to be good. And now these same two people are like, villains are irredeemable garbage, and we're gonna put them and their families on this crappy island. So yeah, all of the Disney villains live on this island, like Maleficent and Jafar, Hades, Ursula, every single one of them are here. Now you may be thinking, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. Quite a few of these villains died at the end of their movies. I had the same thought, so I looked into it, and apparently there are Descendants books where they explain this. It turns out that the Beast brought all the villains back from the dead so he could punish them on this island because death is too merciful for them. Excuse me? That is so messed up. They're already dead, and you're gonna bring them back to life and basically torture them by dropping them on some random island they can't escape from? And yet again, you're telling me Belle and the Beast did this? Okay, moving forward in the future, all the Disney characters, both good and bad, now have children. This is the next thing I can't wrap my mind around. First of all, every single Disney character has a child, and they're all the same age. They all had children in the same year, but not with each other. Like, for most of them, we don't know who their other parent is. They're never mentioned. On top of that, how is it possible that Mulan and Cinderella have children that are the same age? Those two are from completely different time periods. I mean, they shouldn't even be alive at the same time. Okay, we are not even a minute into this movie. We need to move on. So we're introduced to our four main characters who live on the Isle of the Lost. Mal, the daughter of Maleficent, Evie, the daughter of the Evil Queen, Carlos, the son of Cruella de Vil, and Jay, the son of Jafar. So they gave their children names that either sound like theirs or start with the same letter. That's pretty lazy of them. I mean, personally, I think the Disney villains would give their children names that are as dramatic as their personalities are. Also, really? Jay? You think that Jafar, this man, you think that he would give his son an F-boy name like Jay? He wouldn't, okay? Aladdin is my favorite Disney movie, and Jafar is my favorite Disney villain, and I will not stand for this. Anyway, these four are running around the Isle, singing about how they're rotten to the core and stealing candy from babies. Meanwhile, Ben, the son of Belle and the Beast, is going to be crowned king soon, now that he's 16. The Beast is like, that's too young. Yeah, it is. And you're the one who made that rule. You made all the rules in this country because you got elected king. Why would you give your title up to a 16-year-old? Ben tells his dad that he thinks the children of the villains shouldn't be stuck on the Isle since they didn't do anything. And he asks if the children of Maleficent, the Evil Queen, Jafar, and Cruella de Vil can go to school in Oregon as a test run. The Beast reluctantly agrees. They learn about this on the Isle, and Maleficent wants them to steal the fairy godmother's wand and take the magic barrier down so the villains can be free and do evil stuff. The main four don't seem to like the idea, and they are way too conflicted about doing something bad right off the bat. Like, I just saw you guys singing about how evil you are. Why are you so hesitant? They eventually agree to the plan, and then Jafar sees a lamp and is like, ooh, and starts rubbing it like crazy. Stop doing Jafar so dirty. They're taken to Auradon and are greeted by the fairy godmother, who is the headmistress of the school, Ben, and his girlfriend Audrey, who is the daughter of Aurora. Audrey is super snarky and mean to them and treats them like they're worthless. She also won't shut up about how Ben is going to be king and she'll be queen. Audrey is obviously a gold digger and Ben obviously hates her. I find it hard to believe that Aurora raised her daughter to act like this, but okay. Then they're introduced to Doug, who is the son of Dopey. I'm sorry, what? Dopey? He had a child? This is most troubling. Anyway, he's super into Evie. That night, they break into a museum where the wand is on display. Mal uses a spell to make the security guard prick his finger on Maleficent's spindle, and he falls asleep. There was apparently the only security guard in the place, so they run inside. Mal finds a statue of her mom. It comes to life and starts singing about how evil she is, and Mal needs to be just like her. I literally forgot this was a musical until this point because we haven't had a song since the beginning. Also, I know that Maleficent is evil, but I'm pretty sure she doesn't think that. She's just upset that she didn't get invited to a party and is punishing everyone who wronged her, which is perfectly just in her eyes. She doesn't run around going, woohoo, I love evil and the suffering of innocence. They find the wand, but set off an alarm when they try to grab it, waking up the security guard. Thank God that woke him up or else someone was gonna have to give him a smooch. Then they do normal school things. Carlos makes friends with the dog, Evie develops a romance with Doug, Ben continues to hate his snarky girlfriend, and Jay does sports. Who would have ever thought that Jafar's son would be a jock? Mal meets Jane, the daughter of the fairy godmother, and she's sad because she thinks she's ugly. So Mal uses magic to make her hair longer. She really doesn't look that different. She was pretty before. Evie learns that the fairy godmother will be using her wand at Ben's coronation, and they're all invited. Ben says that his parents and girlfriend will be allowed to stand next to him at the ceremony, so they decide to make a love potion so he'll fall in love with Mal. They bake it into cookies, and the daughter of Mulan shows up and is all, oh, you're making cookies? Did your parents ever make them for you and then make you laugh and put things into perspective to cheer you up? I mean, your parents love you, right? And they're like, and then she starts crying and is like, I'm so sorry. That's awful that they don't do that for you. Anyway, they give the cookie to Ben and now he's in love with Mal. Then in the middle of the big game, Ben takes the microphone and yells, I love you, Mal, and starts singing about how much he likes her. Everyone starts cheering and Audrey is upset. Well, dang, that was brutal. I know Audrey kind of sucks and seems to only like Ben because he's a royal, but it's still pretty messed up that everyone started celebrating when he announced that he loves another woman. Ben asks Mal on a date, so Evie helps her get dressed up, and she looks in the mirror and is like, wow, I look amazing. But she just looks exactly the same. Ben takes her on a picnic in the woods next to the enchanted lake. Then Ben is like, woo, time to swim! And he roars and jumps in the lake. Mal sings about how she isn't sure if she should be good or bad. When she's done, she realizes Ben is nowhere to be seen. She thinks he's drowning, so she rushes in the water, but then she starts to drown and Ben saves her. It turns out he was just looking for cool rocks in the water. Then Ben is like, I said I love you. Do you love me? She says she doesn't know what love feels like, and he's all, maybe I can teach you. I know the guy is under a love spell, but dang, he is moving quickly. It's family day at the school, and they all start singing an awful cover of Be Our Guest where they start rapping in the middle of it. Audrey and some of her friends start bullying the main four, which results in a fight. Jane tells Mal that Ben will never make a villain queen. Girl, why are you acting like that when Mal was nothing but nice to you? She turns her hair back, and honestly, she deserved it. The day of the coronation, Ben admits to Mal that he knew about the love potion because the enchanted lake actually made it wear off. Mal asks if he's been faking it the whole time, and he says he hasn't. He really does like her. So you're just cool with the fact that she put a spell on you? You're not even remotely bothered by it? Also, if the spell wore off in the lake, that means the I said I love you, do you love me line was all him. At the ceremony, Jane is the one to grab the wand because she wants to be pretty. She waves it around and there's spells firing out of it, and she very conveniently accidentally takes down the barrier around the aisle. Mal grabs the wand from her and says that she has to take it because of their parents. Ben says that she doesn't have to be like her mom.
I think I want to be good.
You are good.
How do you know that?
You just said so? All four of them decide that they don't want to be like their parents, but then Maleficent shows up and is like, I'm back! Who are you saying that to? Aurora isn't here! She steals the wand and freezes everyone but the main four. Mal is all, I learned that love is amazing. I'm not like you. Then she steals the wand back with the power of love. Maleficent turns into a very ugly looking dragon, and they fight her off by just kind of running around. Eventually, Mal turns her into a lizard, and everyone is happy. Yay! End of movie song! The second movie starts with them singing about being evil again, but this time, it's just Mal daydreaming. In reality, she has to do a lot of formal events and interviews with Ben. There will be a royal cotillion coming up, where she'll be made an official lady of the court. Oh yeah, and also she's blonde now. Mal asks Evie if she ever misses being bad, and she's like, no. So after everything that happened in the last movie, and she made a big deal about how she wants to be good and love is amazing, You're telling me she misses being evil? Ben shows up and says he has a surprise for her and she's perfect. And she's like, oh great, you do this every day. Wow, Mal, I feel so bad that you have a loving and caring boyfriend. What a shame. Carlos wants to ask Jane to the cotillion, but he keeps getting nervous and can't say it. He asks Mal for a truth gummy, which will force him to say what's on his mind, but his dog accidentally eats it. Now the dog has a voice and says whatever is on its mind, and it is awful.
Man, that thing was nasty.
I don't understand why the truth gummy gave the dog a voice. I mean, wouldn't it just make the dog bark a bunch since it makes you say whatever is on your mind? Also, the dog stays like this not just for the rest of this movie, but the next one too. So does that mean the gummy just never wears off? If Carlos had ate it, does that mean he would have been stuck saying whatever comes to his mind until the end of time? Mal plans a picnic for Ben and says she made all the food, but then Ben finds her spell book, forcing her to admit that she lied and used magic to make it all. Ben is upset about the lying, but the bigger problem seems to be that she used magic in general, because apparently that's frowned upon. They never said it was an issue before. Also, you were okay with her using a love spell on you, but making food is too far? I see this as a positive. She could end world hunger. Mal says she fakes stuff with magic because she's not a proper princess and she wasn't meant to be a part of this world. She storms off and Ben yells after her, peanut butter and jelly is my favorite.
Peanut butter and jelly is my favorite.
I don't quite get what you were trying to accomplish with that line, Ben. Mal decides to go back to the Isle of the Lost. Speaking of the Isle, we're now introduced to Uma, the daughter of Ursula, and her two henchmen, Harry, the son of Captain Hook, and Gil, the son of Gaston. She hates Mal because she gets to live the life they all want, and also she called her Shrimpy once. She sings a song that goes, what's my name, what's my name? And then everyone replies, Uma. But you see, the first time I heard this song was in an AMV that popped up on my feed of Kokichi Oma from Danganronpa, and Uma sounds a lot like Oma. So when I heard this, I was like, oh my god, who made a song about Kokichi Oma, and do they need help? Are they okay? There's a pointless makeover scene where Mal dyes her hair back to purple, even though she could just use magic to do that, and she runs into Harry. The other three and Ben head to the Isle to get Mal back. They sing a song where they teach Ben how to blend in and act like a villain so no one recognizes him. Apparently, acting like a villain means walking super weird. Literally 5 seconds after they finish the song, Gil recognizes Ben, so that was a waste. Ben tries to talk to Mal, but she says it's best for him and Auradon if she stays away because she's bad. Then Ben gets kidnapped by Uma. Boy, that song really was a waste. Mal goes to talk to Uma, and she says she'll give Ben back if Mal brings her the fairy godmother's wand. Really? The wand again? Carlos just so happens to have a 3D printer, so they make a copy of the wand and take it to Uma. Uma and her crew start singing, ooh, you better give me what I want. And the song just keeps going, and it's like, Uma, that's what they're there for. Stop singing. They'll give it to you. In the middle of the song, Ben randomly cuts in and is like, hey, stop fighting. And it just reminded me of that one song in High School Musical where Gabriella does the try. They give Uma the wand. She tries to use it to take down the barrier. It doesn't work. They realize it's fake, and then they have a really long sword fight that's ruined by the talking dog.
Amazeballs!
Mal and crew escape, and then Uma just randomly starts going, what's my name?
What's my name?
Back at school, the others tell Mal that she doesn't have to be the perfect, proper princess, and it's okay for her to be herself. The cotillion arrives, and Ben shows up with Uma. He says that he loves her, and they made a connection on the Isle. Mal is hurt, and everyone is like, how dare he? Oh, so you all hate him now, but when he did the exact same thing in the first movie to Audrey, it was fine? Anyway, Mal realizes that Uma used a love spell on Ben. Can we stop putting love spells on this poor guy? Mal gives a big speech about how much she loves him. She kisses him and the spell is broken. Uma gets mad and turns into a big octopus. She tries to slap everyone with her tentacles, which doesn't really work because they dodge it very easily. Mal turns into an ugly dragon, just like her mom, and they fight. Then Ben randomly roars. He jumps in the water and is like, we have to respect each other. Uma, you can help make a difference and work with us to help the people on the Isle. You would think Uma would agree to this, but instead she just leaves. Mal turns back into a human and somehow has a completely different outfit and hairstyle. Then they have their end of movie dance. Woo! Alright, now it is time for the final movie. It starts off with our main characters going to the Isle of the Lost. They're there because Mal and Ben have started a program where they're going to bring kids over to Auradon. Except in this movie they call them VKs, which is short for villain kids, and they just act like this is a term that they've used the entire series. This time, they're bringing over Dr. Facilier's daughter, Lady Tremaine's granddaughter, and Smee's twin sons. Smee has kids now. Anyway, the only one of these kids that's actually important is Dr. Facilier's daughter, and her name is Celia. The day the kids are supposed to arrive, they hold a big ceremony and Ben proposes to Mal. My god, these two move quickly. Oh yeah, remember Audrey? She's back and really mad about the engagement because she wanted to be queen, and Mal stole that from her. Look, Ben and Mal aren't perfect, but it worked out for the best, okay? Audrey only liked him for his royal status, and Ben looked like he wanted to die every time she spoke. When they take the kids to Auradon, Hades tries to get through the barrier before it closes. Oh no. Hades, I am so sorry. What did they do to you? Hades is yelling, I'm a god, I shouldn't be here. You know, he's got a point. Hades is a god. You would think a magic barrier wouldn't be an issue for him to break out of. Mal turns into a dragon again, but struggles to stop him, and Audrey is all, our queen can't even protect us. Okay, you wouldn't have been able to do any better, Audrey. I mean, you can't turn into an ugly dragon. Audrey starts singing about how she should be queen. She breaks into the museum and steals Maleficent's staff. They have got to get better security in this museum. First step, hire more than one guard. After the Hades incident, Mal decides that the best way to protect Auradon is to stop the VK program. But she doesn't tell her friends this because we need drama. Audrey shows up and is all, haha, I'm evil now. She turns Mal into an old woman and disappears. Mal says that Maleficent's staff is super powerful, and the only thing that can reverse its magic is Hades' Ember. Okay, if the staff is so powerful, why didn't Maleficent ask Mal to steal that instead? They all go to the Isle, and Mal turns back to normal as soon as they cross the barrier because no evil magic is allowed there. If that's the case, wouldn't that mean that Uma wouldn't have been able to take the barrier down in the last movie anyway? They break into Hades' place while he's sleeping, but he wakes up and sees Mal. She greets him by saying, "Hi, Dad." No. Wait a minute. Hades and Maleficent? Ew, what kind of crack ship is this? So Hades is basically a deadbeat dad that never acknowledges Mal, but he says he did it because her mom sucks and he needed to be away from her. Then they sing an entire song where Mal calls him a terrible dad for walking out on them, while Hades is justifying his actions and telling Mal to get over it. The whole song is so weird because they're discussing something pretty heavy while being all da-da-da-da-da-da. My dad left for milk and didn't come back and he doesn't care, yeah! After that, Hades just gives her the ember because I guess he does actually care about her, and he says it will stop working if it gets wet. As they leave, Harry and Gil sneak out of the barrier with them and try to take the ember. Mal loses her grip on it and nearly drops it in the water, but Octo Uma catches it, and then she goes underwater with it, and okay, it's already wet. She turns into a human and threatens to drop it in the water, but like I just said, it's already wet! You cannot convince me that her tentacle kept it dry. Uma says that she'll give the ember back if Mal promises to free every VK from the Isle. Mal agrees, but they still argue, so Evie steps in between them and goes, "Here's a thought. We could be friends, put our pasts behind, and celebrate our differences. How about that?" Wow, thank you, Evie. Who knew that that's all it took to make people stop hating each other? Anyway, Uma and crew decide to help them for some reason. While all of this was going on, Jane was having a party because it's her birthday. Audrey showed up and put everyone to sleep. Jane is the only one who managed to dodge the curse because she hides in the enchanted lake. Then Audrey turns the rest of Auradon to stone. You know, I really don't get what Audrey is trying to accomplish here. She's mad she can't be queen, so she put a bunch of people to sleep and then turn the rest of them to stone. I'm struggling to connect the dots. They all go to the castle to find Ben, but Audrey makes a bunch of suits of armor come to life and attack them. They win the fight by having a dance battle with the armor until they get tired and fall down. Yeah, I wish I was joking. Also, how does armor get tired? They can't find Ben, so they decide to split up and look for Audrey. The girls find Audrey's diary, which says she's hiding out in a cottage. They also stumble upon a sleeping Doug, and Uma says Evie can wake him up with true love's kiss. Wait a minute! I thought that Mal said the only way to reverse magic from the staff is with Hades' Ember. Evie is nervous, so she sings an entire song about it before finally kissing him. Doug wakes up, but then he does nothing for the rest of the movie, so I really don't know what the point of all that was. The boys find Ben, and oh god. No. Yeah, so Audrey turned Ben into a beast, and then Jane shows up and sprays him with water from the enchanted lake, and he turns back to normal. Wait a minute! I thought that Mal said the only way to reverse magic from the staff was with Hades' Ember! They all meet back up and are like, yay, friendship, we're all getting along. Carlos decides to give Jane her birthday present now that they're reunited, because, oh yeah, they're dating now. I forgot to mention that. Her present is a necklace that says Jarlos. Jarlos! Ugh, and I thought the tea necklace from High School Musical was funny. Mal decides that now is a good time to tell everyone that she lied when she told Uma she's bringing all the VKs to Auradon because she's recently decided it's best to stop the program and keep the barrier closed. Obviously, everyone is really mad at her now, and Uma and Harry storm off. Oh yeah, remember Celia? She's been here the whole time, and she's upset too, so she takes the ember and throws it in some water, but now it doesn't work. It should have stopped working before! Uma took it underwater! Everyone else is also disappointed in Mal, but Audrey turns them to stone in the middle of their argument. Audrey kidnaps Celia, and Mal turns into a dragon and tries to fight her, but she can't do it without the ember. Uma sees this and decides she's cool with Mal again, and is all, "You can do it, I'm right here, I'm your friend!" And she glows some magic at her or something, and then Dragon Mal does this horrible smile, and the ember reignites. Kind of weird that Hades' Ember would start working again thanks to the power of friendship. Mal uses the ember to stop Audrey, but she straight up just kills her. They rush Hades over, and he does some weird dance to revive her. Audrey says she's really sorry, and that's the end of that. She doesn't get punished for what she did at all. Before Hades leaves, Mal gives him a kiss on the cheek, and he lets her keep the ember. So I guess they're good now. Ben and Mal have an engagement party, and Mal announces that if she's going to be queen, she has to be queen of all of the people of Auradon, including those on the Isle. Ben agrees, and they decide to take the barrier down, and everyone runs over, and they're all like, yay! The sentiment is nice, and I agree that the kids shouldn't be stuck over there, but you do realize that you just released a bunch of villains like Ursula and Captain Hook and Jafar and the rest of them. Maybe you should have waited to take the barrier down until you took some of the big bads and put them in jail. But they wouldn't even be having this problem, or, any of the problems they faced in all of these movies if the beast didn't decide to resurrect them and put them on an island in the first place. Hades shows up and is all, am I invited to the wedding? And Mal hugs him. So yeah, she's just forgiven him for abandoning her all of a sudden, and he's decided to stop being a deadbeat after all these years. Then they all dance happily. The end. I do want to take a moment to acknowledge that before the movie ends, there's a nice little tribute to Cameron Boyce, the actor that played Carlos. I was growing out of Disney by the time Jesse started, so I didn't really watch his stuff, but I can tell he was a really talented and sweet person that a lot of people really looked up to. I know it's been a few years now, but rest in peace. I know this is kind of heavy towards the end of the video here, but I felt that it was important. So yeah, those are the Descendants movies. Honestly, they make my brain hurt a lot. There are just a bunch of little details to get hung up on. There's so many plot holes and things that don't make any sense. And just the concept of all the Disney characters having children that are the same age is just crazy. There's just so much to unpack with these movies, and I don't think I could ever cover it all, but I did my best. Like I said earlier, I watched Descendants because I figured there'd be some weird stuff in it, and I was very right. I'm just left with so many questions. I don't know if the Descendants books make things clearer or are better, but if you just take the movies as they are something. Anyway, I'm now going to take this moment to recommend Twisted Wonderland to you all. I'm sure most of my subscribers know it well, considering I did a Let's Play of it. But if you're new here, it's a mobile game where all the main characters are based off of Disney villains, and it's really good and doesn't hurt your soul by telling you Dopey has a son. But okay, that is going to do it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!